Okay, Smokey, roll 'em.
Robert Clampett was born on the 8th May in 1917. He joined the Schlesinger studio at the ripe age of 17. Clampett worked on the very first Merry Melodies cartoon, 1931's Lady Play Your Mandolin.
Lady, when you play for me, night turns into day for me.
And the angels pray for me, I belong to you.
At first, Clampett had a contract with the LA Times to make comic strips for them after finishing school, but after seeing animation for the first time, he decided to become an animator instead. Clampett left Tex Avery's unit with Jones in 1937 to work on cartoons with Up Iwerks. There he directed his first cartoon alongside Jones, titled Porky's Bad Time Story.
He found an enormous inspiration in Tex. Tex was so irreverent and so willing to be wild and push things to the edge, and that was just the perfect influence for Dad.
He admired what Tex Avery had done and was doing. And so, Bob, he wanted to assume Tex's mantle of quality, of inventiveness, and everything about animation.
Bob was influenced a lot by Tex Avery. Their styles were very similar in that they used the form of animation to do what you couldn't do in real life. Clampett had a very good start at directing. One of his first few cartoons, 1938's Porky in Wackyland, was so good that it entered the National Film Registry in the year 2000. After Tex Avery left the studio in 1941, Clampett received his unit and was tasked to finish two cartoons Avery had left behind, the cartoons being 1941's Cagey Canary and Wabbit Wobble. His old unit was then given to Norm McCabe, until McCabe was drafted into the army, so his unit was handed to Frank Tashlin, who returned after his first stint from 1936, until he left again and top animator Robert McKimson received that unit. Clampett sadly left Warner's in 1947 to pursue a career in television, so his unit was given to Arthur Davis until the unit was disbanded in 1947 because of budget troubles. The highlights of Clampett's cartoons were definitely the crazy animation he had his team do. That team consisted of Bill Melendez, Manny Gould, Izzy Ellis, and my favorite animator of all time, Rod Scribner. The cartoon starts off in the farm, where Daffy is waiting for his issue of Dick Tracy. While acting out what he'd do if he were Dick Tracy, Daffy knocks himself out. Enter Duck Tracy. Dick Tracy but as a duck. If you pause the scene here, you can even see the silhouette of the real Dick Tracy for a second. Clampett then starts the main plot of the cartoon. There's a serious case of stolen piggy banks. Daffy dismisses every case till he notices that his own piggy bank was stolen as well. After a great breakdown animated by Rod Scribner, Daffy decides to
find the gangster's hideout.
He does so by taking a train that takes him there immediately. Showing his brains, Daffy outsmarts the trapdoor by falling into said trapdoor. There he finds footprints that lead him to a tiny mouse hole. Our brave hero gets intimidated and then surrounded by iconic villains like
Snake Eyes. Ah! Maybe teeth. Oh, Hammerhead. Oh no, Pussycat. Pussycat Puss. Batman. Double header. Pickle Puss. Pumpkinhead. Neon Noodle. Jukebox Jaw. Wolfman. Ruff. Ruff.
He fights them by running away and then taking them out one by one in a surprisingly violent way, with a grenade, a Tommy gun, and his wit. After finding the piggy bank, you're reminded that this is a dream. I admittedly always forget that aspect, because Clampett's cartoon just pulled you in and make you forget about everything else going on. Like I previously said, Clampett had amazing animators like Rod Scribner or Manny Gould in his team, which made his cartoons look amazing. They love to play around with the characters, like stretching them out or enlarging their eyes. Most of the movements look really unnatural if you play them frame by frame, but they work surprisingly well in motion. Tick-Tock Tucker is a remake of the very first cartoon Clampett directed, 1937's Porky's Bad Time Story. If you compare the two cartoons, you can see that Daffy is nowhere to be seen in Porky's Bad Time Story. Instead, Porky starred alongside Gabby the Goat, who was a one-off character created by Up Iwerks. He was only used in 3 cartoons before getting thrown out and replaced with Daffy. Daffy and Porky overslept for work. Their boss threatened to fire them if they were late for work again, so the two decided to go to bed early. The night starts off silent and cozy until cats and dogs start fighting outside. Annoyed, Porky throws a shoe at them, which starts a brief back and forth of throwing stuff. After returning to bed, Porky wakes up to the harsh light of the moon, so he decides to lower the blinds, which is easier said than done. This then ends up in Daffy shooting the moon to lower it. Now you'd think that this night couldn't get any worse, but a thunderstorm suddenly starts brewing, which causes their ceiling to leak water. Daffy makes things worse by opening an umbrella in the bedroom and getting hit by lightning. After a huge amount of water rains on them, the two sleep in a drawer and run off to work. When they arrive at work, they realize that it's a Sunday, so they spare no time to rush home and immediately go back to bed, closing off by shooting their alarm clock. This might not be the most eventful or funny cartoon, but what it lacks in gags and scenery, it makes up for in atmosphere. Something about Golden Age cartoon characters trying to sleep just puts me in a sleeping mood, and this cartoon is no different. Because this is a Bob Clampett short, you can expect amazing drawings when pausing any frame.
They break evenly for a perfect start, both running nicely. The hare tries to wear the tortoise down with early speed, but the tortoise runs his own race.
While Chuck Jones hated having his Bugs lose, Clampett was the opposite. He knew how to push Bugs to his breaking point, and he wasn't afraid to do it. Like for example in The Falling Hare or this very cartoon. This short is a sequel to Tex Avery's Tortoise Beats Hare, and it even reuses animation from that cartoon at the start. Before starting the summary, I have to point out this scene of Bugs angrily kicking the projector. It's my favorite scene in any cartoon ever. You can just feel how angry Bugs is after hearing the commentators say,
"The tortoise always wins."
Yeah, the turtle always wins.
After kicking down the projector, Bugs lists off why he should win. I just love Mel Blanc's delivery of these lines, where he slightly mispronounces words. He sounds angrier than ever in the next scene, which was amazingly animated by Rod Scribner. Frustrated, Bugs decides to go to the source of his pain, Cecil Turtle. He goes undercover as an old man who tries to steal his secret, but Cecil sees right through his disguise and tells him that turtles are just built different, so Bugs decides to build himself a turtle shell, and the local newspaper predicts Hitler's suicide. But little does Bugs know the local gambling ring are involved, and they bet all their money on him. Bugs confidently starts this race off by cheating. He races to a tree where he hid his secret weapon, a metallic turtle shell and a swimming cap, because as we all know,
we turtles are built for racing.
Cecil Turtle wastes no time to mock the confident bunny, which makes Bugs even angrier. While winning, Bugs praises modern design and then gets beaten up by the dumb gambling ring. He tries to argue that he's the rabbit, but Cecil in the convincing Bugs Bunny suit and carrot makes him think that Bugs is the turtle, which leads to Cecil winning once again and Bugs breaking down.
You fools! What are you doing? I'm the rabbit! The rabbit! Look! I'm the rabbit! Now he tells us.
I love how Cecil dressing up as Bugs Bunny would show up slightly altered in the Hunting Trilogy by Chuck Jones, where Bugs dresses up as Daffy to trick Elmer into shooting him. It just goes to show that Chuck and Clampett have a completely different way of using Bugs, but that was the beauty of the golden era of cartoons. Every director had his own style and used characters in different ways, which led to stories that one team on its own wouldn't be able to do.
We were sailing along on Moonlight Bay. We could hear the voices ring.